Top of the day, beautiful people. Let's start our conversation here. Welcome back to the Trauma to Triumph workshop series. And this week we're exploring something deeper than just awareness, right? So this week we're moving into reunion and integration. The reason is because healing isn't just about understanding your inner child, it's about remembering how to welcome the parts of you that you abandoned, that you left behind, that you have been ashamed of, how to welcome those parts back, and how to stop silencing the parts of you that you thought you abandoned, but they've always been speaking. This is, again, a part of our series, reuniting with the part of you that never stopped needing you. Let's jump straight in. So many of you have heard of the concept and the idea that you attract what you are. So when we think about pain, you may believe that, well, if I attract what I am and if I'm living in pain, maybe I'm attracting more pain to my life. But what if you're not attracting pain, but what if you're recreating the pain that you're familiar with? What if by not healing that wound that you've been carrying all of your life, by avoiding the situations and circumstances that are pointing you to that wound, what if by avoiding the opportunities to heal, you just keep recreating circumstances, situations, and relationships that mimic the pain that you're familiar with? The thumbnail on this video is how to stop abandoning you. The thing is, most of us don't fear rejection. We expect rejection because we've been rejecting ourselves for years. But the thing is, we expect rejection because we're only mimicking or repeating the rejection that we experienced in our original trauma. Lisa says, how do you do that? Lisa, specify your question for me and I will make sure that I answer it directly. Most of us don't fear rejection, we expect it. The rejection that we experienced, or the abandonment, or the not being nurtured, not being cared for that we experience, that becomes our expectation of what life is going to continue to deliver to us. Gonza says, how do I stop rejecting myself? Gonza, that is exactly what this entire conversation is about. I ask that you hang out, learn the detailed internal understandings of what that rejection looks like. So when I give you the tools, you know where to apply the tools. All right? So hang around, take some notes, learn the foundational understanding so then when you get the tools, you know how to apply them. So this episode is not about, okay, let me say it like this. This episode is about the silent patterns that are running underneath your decision. When we talk about self-abandonment, many of us don't see self-abandonment in action. We only feel it. We don't know how we did it. So when you ask me, how do I stop doing it? I need you to see how you're doing it. Because if I simply told you how to stop, but I never showed you the pattern that keeps on repeating it, even though you now know how to stop, you're likely going to keep repeating the same patterns and put yourself right back in the situation. That's why my teaching method is, let me show you how you got to where you are. Because if you understand how you got there, when we give you new directions, every time you see a path that is similar to the path that led you to where you are, you will know how to divert and go in another direction. But if you never learn how you got here, you're likely to repeat the same patterns and behaviors and find yourself here again. Okay? Guys, I said, I find myself at the forefront for everyone else, but when it's not reciprocated. So guys, I'm going to tell you something about doing things with the expectation of it being reciprocated. So I'll get to our lesson plan, but let me unpack this for you really quick. When we do things with the expectation of it being reciprocated, we are not operating out of the thing that we're doing. We're operating out of the need. Watch what I just showed you. You're doing something, we'll put that right here. You're doing something with the expectation of the thing being reciprocated. What I want to show you is the origin of the action is not the thing that you're doing for the person. The origin of the action is what you are expecting in return. So we need to put your expectation at the beginning. The point of why I'm sharing that with you, when you recognize your neediness that is producing the action or the people pleasing, when you recognize the wound that is producing the people pleaser, then we know where we need to focus the tools that I'm going to give you. Your Highness, happy healing to you and welcome to the conversation. My expectations is concerned. It is the expectation, but let's hold our horses real quick and let's unpack some of this. And then I'll open up the floor for some more questions after you have some more of this information. I'm sure some of what we'll discuss will give you some context that'll help you to get to the questions. So let's wait till we get to that point, okay? Let's unpack some of this first. So, many of us, we do the abandoning the part of us that is not accepted so we can be comfortable where we want to be accepted. I'll say it again. I got you. So if I want to be accepted in a group of rowdy guys who are very overtly aggressive, and those are the guys that I want to be accepted with, but I'm a thinker. I'm a visualize. I'm a guy that visualize. I'm a thinker. I'm a creative. I'm not those. Those behavior and characteristic traits are not natural to me. But if I want to fit in with those guys, what I would do is I'll downplay my ability to think outside the box. I'll downplay my artistic abilities. I'll downplay the parts about me that may not fit in with that group. So in order for me to be comfortable with the people that I'm trying to fit in with, I have to abandon parts of myself. In me trying to fit in, I never recognize that I am abandoning a part of me. I don't recognize that that is emphasizing the very wound that I've been struggling with. That's what I'm going to show you today. How does that self-abandonment look in our real life, and how does it look internally? Because if you can identify the moments that you do it, if you can identify the moments that it happens internally, then you'll know how to use the tools that I'm going to give you. So let's work. You don't keep abandoning yourself because you're weak. You do it because it's what you know to do to be comfortable. Many of us grew up learning how to shrink just to keep peace in our lives, just to keep peace in our environment. We learn how to perform just to get love. Many of us learn how to shut down just so we wouldn't be hurt or we wouldn't have aggression towards us. And that version of safety, that version of comfort, that becomes your compass. That becomes what you're familiar with. That becomes your internal guide. So now, when you're faced with vulnerability, with real intimacy or authentic expression, what do? You freeze. You panic. And it's not because there's something wrong with you, but it's because authentic expression feels unfamiliar to you. It's because being genuinely vulnerable feels unfamiliar to you. It's because real intimacy feels unfamiliar to you because you are familiar with the opposite. Many of us are not attracted to what's good for us. I mean, people, places, and things. Many of us are not attracted to what's good for us. We're attracted to what's familiar. Many of us will bypass the unknown path and we'll pick the painful path that we know. Hey, friend, there's a possibility if we go down this road, we don't know what's going to happen, but there's a chance that it could be all peaceful. I know all the pitfalls on this road. I'll stick to the road that I know. But there's a version of you that wants to explore. There's a version of you that wants to pursue your dreams, your vision, but that's the unknown is a little too tricky. I'd rather stick with what I know. But there's a part of you that naturally wants to go out and seek new things and learn new things, but self-rejection can feel safe when self-acceptance feels like a threat. Self-rejection can feel safe when self-acceptance feels like a threat. When the parts of you that you're rejecting is a threat to the persona or the idea of who you would like to be or who you would like to present yourself to the world as, you rejecting yourself feels like the natural thing to do. Let me show you what I mean by that. What I'm explaining to you is what I'm going to coin as pre-rejection. You reject yourself before other people do. You reject yourself before other people can because you can. The way that I also explain this to people is like, if I cause the implosion, I feel like I can control the fallout. But if I hold on and there is an explosion, I may not be able to handle the outcome or the fallout. So what we do is we trigger our own self-sabotage because at least I am watching the pieces fall at my doing. Let me build on this for you all. Let's give you some real life examples so you can understand how when we make a decision out of our unhealed trauma, we automatically abandon a part of ourselves, the part of ourselves that we're rejecting to fit into this narrative. So let's talk about those of us that are the overachievers and overworker, and we prioritize our achievements, our work, the things that where we feel important and needed, that's where we focus our attention. We push for performance to feel valuable. Come on, overachiever. Nobody's going to work harder than me. I'm the hardest worker everywhere that I go, and I love that for you. I love that for us because I am one of those people. But at the same time, that push for performance is attached to our value. And here's the thing. Whenever you value achievements, accomplishments as a means of setting your own value, you're reinforcing you're reinforcing the limited belief that is born out of your unhealed trauma. So in this case, for the overworker who push performance to feel valuable, what you're reinforcing in your inner child's limited belief is, I'm not enough unless I'm achieving something. But what part of you are you abandoning? Coach, I'm only choosing to pursue things that will make my life better? How am I abandoning a part of myself? When you choose to push for performance as a means of establishing your value, you abandon the part of you that needs to rest. You abandon the joyful part of you that just is, without earning anything, without having to do anything, without having to meet any type of standard. You abandon the part of you that is valuable just because. You reject the part of you that can just relax. And most importantly, you abandoned your right to simply be. Because your value is not attached to your achievements. Where are my people pleasers? Gonza, where are you at? If I'm not mistaken, Gonza, I believe that was one of your statements earlier. I told you I'd come back to you, right? I got you covered. All right, there you go. I don't try to do it. I stay in my lane, but I keep my peace by avoiding shenanigans from people. So Gonza, earlier you said that you always prioritize people, or you go hard for people, and then when it comes to you, you're not as present, right? You say yes to everyone else, but why are you doing it, Gonza? Because that's how you've associated your own security. That's how you've associated your own value. You say yes to everybody else to feel valuable, to feel secure. And sometimes when that thing gets deep enough, we say yes to everybody else because we love the idea of being needed. Because being needed makes us feel valuable because we weren't allowed to feel valuable in just existing. But what are you reinforcing to your inner child when you're saying yes to everybody just to please them, just so you can feel validated, just so you can feel secure? What is the message that you're reinforcing? If I say no, then I'll lose love because I'm not valuable enough to be loved unless I'm saying yes. What part of you are you abandoning at the same time? You're abandoning the part of you that needs and has boundaries. You're abandoning the part of you that needs your attention so that you can be replenished. Gonza, I love this comment. Gonza says, because they look to me for direction. Gonza, I want you to stay within this visualization that you have a whole group of people behind you depending on you for directions. And let's make it extreme. Let's say their life depend on you giving directions. Now, let me ask you this question, Gonza. If you are not taking care of yourself, if you're not nurturing yourself, all right, Gonza, let me ask you this question. If you're not nurturing yourself, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not being genuine towards yourself, and all of these people's lives are dependent upon you giving them the right direction, how good of a direction can you give if you're not in your right mind, if you're not in your right emotional state of being, if you are not in the right and proper position for you?